Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing good today. We have a guest this morning who is just going to answer a few questions about the use of digital video cameras in just one law enforcement agency. Good morning.
Good morning.
I have a couple questions for you, and then I'll let you go.
Okay.
You have worked in a sheriff's detention area before, correct?
Yes.
Here are my questions for you. Number one, the bailiffs or the sheriff's deputies, do they wear webcams?
Well, at the time that I was working there, the bailiffs, certain bailiffs, didn't have no webcams. The sheriffs, deputy sheriffs themselves did have webcams on. That was a couple of years ago. I've been retired from there.
So the deputies that came in, were they required to hand over their webcams, or did they keep it on the whole shift?
They kept it on their whole shift.
So that was in addition to the video footage that the sheriff's department had in each
Facility? Yeah.
So when you're looking at the facilities that you worked at, there were two facilities, the main facility and the downtown facility. With these facilities, did the footage go to one centralized area?
Yeah, it went to the main facility, which is out in the outskirts of town.
And let's talk about the transport vehicles. Have you ever been on a transport van?
Yes.
Okay. When you worked as a transport person going from like the sheriff's department's facility to a prison or to a courthouse or wherever you transported the inmates, did the sheriff's department accompany you, the deputies?
No. What happened was we would have a transport vehicle, and our officers that were the facility officers would take the vehicle, take the prisoners, and we would be escorted by other officers from the prison itself. Sometimes they would bring in a bus, okay, with their own guards, and they would have a large bus because sometimes we would have to take 30 to 40 prisoners there.
Okay, so when the prison personnel came, did they have their own footage? Did they have their own webcams?
At that time, no. Like I said, it's been a while.
Do you remember if in the black box, if the utilization of webcam footage for the sheriff's department was used? Do you remember?
No, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't.
Did the deputy sheriffs that escorted you all, they still had their own productive webcams?
Yes.
So I guess the main point that I'm trying to get at this morning is when you work for the sheriff's department and you worked at either facility, the independent sheriff deputies that were working inside for whatever reason, it doesn't matter what the reasoning, they still had the webcam footage on their persons.
This is the way it was, okay? At the time that I was working there, only deputy sheriffs had webcams on their body, okay? The prison guards did not have any at the time.
The jail guards, the
The jailers,
Okay.
okay? They didn't have none. Only the deputy sheriffs that were there. They had their webcams on. Once in a blue moon, there would be a deputy, 2 or 3 deputies that would work at the jailhouse with the jailers, because they needed a break from being out in the field. So they'd have them come in and they'd help out, and they'd still have their webcam on.
Okay, so as you're walking into the jailhouse, the individuals who were in the area, you worked that area before, where they controlled uh, the entrance and exits to each cell. What can you describe to us what that area looked like?
When the inmates were going into their cells, and it was a large area, because the jailhouse was a holding pen. It wasn't a prison, okay?
I understand the difference.
Okay? The prisoners go into the jailhouse or into the cell, which housed about 25, 30 people, okay? They had beds and everything. They had toilets and the whole works, okay? And they would go in there. You would have cameras down the hallway corridor and cameras inside the jail, the cell system itself, inside the cell where all the prisoners were at, okay? Lights were on 24/7, so they never had no time for no. There's no darkness in the cells, okay? Okay, so it's just the way it was back then.
And even the was there a camera in the area where you had control of opening and closing those holding tanks or the cells?
Yeah, of course. There's always cameras everywhere in the jailhouse. Always, 24/7. You're getting watched everywhere. Even when you go to the toilet, there's a camera right in there. Not inside the toilet, but you'll see it when you walk in. It's there, you know. So there's 24/7 everywhere.
Okay.
Cameras.
And the incomings and outgoings in the parking lot, the cameras were just standardized cameras. Also, there were cameras in the holding area where the vans or the transport vans and the transport buses are.
Yes, okay. Of course.
Okay, I just thank you for sharing that with us. Today I am going to be talking about digital web usage within different communities, and I just needed your perspective on the different variance levels of footage that is utilized. May I ask you one question about a transport van?
Sure.
When you're doing the transport van, can you just give us like one scenario of your experience when you worked there of how that works?
Well, when we were transporting, say, 4 or 5 prisoners, maybe not a big batch, we would make sure that they had all their paperwork ready. They were handcuffed. Then we move them up to the van, open the van, put them in one at a time, lock them in, okay. And then we had they were locked in a cage inside the van, okay.
Even the specialized inmate trustees, like your trustees that were inmates, were the trustees still? They wouldn't go?
No, they stay there at the.
So even if they were being transported, they were still handcuffed?
Yes.
Okay.
They're still prisoners. They're still criminals. They get handcuffed regardless if they're trustees or not. Okay.
Okay.
They're still prisoners. They're still criminals. So they'd have to, if they were going to the prison, the main prison, they'd have to get handcuffed and put in the vans.
Were there check-ins by paper or were they by digital?
Back then it was paper.
Okay.
It was a paper trail back then. Now, almost 10 years ago, it's probably all digital now.
Digital now. Okay. Is there anything special you would like to tell us about camera usage in facilities?
No, I mean, I'm not a very good digital kind of person. I'm not into that kind of stuff, and that, as far as I can tell, when I was retiring, they were already starting to bring in tablets for the inmates to use in the facilities.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
And what's your
that's
experience
I
with?
think that's insane, but this is the way the modern age is now. So,
Well, you know, those tablets are so the inmates can work on their
and
case-related
they can do
materials.
so many things that some of them can do a lot of illegal things with those tablets. Okay, so.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time and consideration this morning.
All right. Well, you guys take care. Have a good day. I'm taking off. I gotta go.
So, this morning, the main reason why I wanted to talk about the footage. I'll see you. Bye. The main reason why I wanted to talk about the footage in transportation and transporting inmates has to do with usage when transporting. The man I was just speaking to, he retired from a sheriff's detention area, a jail area. But the one focus I wanted to bring to what he said is deputy sheriffs, even at that time, had the webcams on their person when they were working. And we all know that you can be a deputy sheriff, a certified deputy sheriff, and you can also work as a jailer. I mean, that's, you know, like a dual certification if you haven't. But what I wanted for you to bring to your attention is with the flock cameras now. Depending upon where you live, a lot of people, let's take for instance, ever since Sebastian's case, a lot of people, they've used the chime cameras, the neighborhood cameras, at night media rushed to get the Texas Roadhouse video. But what everyone neglects to realize is there are not just neighborhood cameras, pro cameras that you can wear individually. There is not just webcam footage from local PDs, sheriff's departments, state troopers, U.S. Marshals. When you're looking at a flock camera, okay? When you're looking at flock cameras, you have to really go back to where they could have been and what can be utilized on those flock cameras. I've heard several creators talk about flock cameras like they're totally against them. Well, here's what you have to realize. A lot of emphasis has been given to the Texas Roadhouse video. Flock cameras have been around for a long time. The utilization of the flock cameras, although they're independently secured now, and the utilization of them are mostly by law enforcement and large organizations, let's say by Dell or Amazon or companies like that. Flock cameras are utilized by the United States government, by the United States military, and the basis for a flock camera can go back for community usage to about 2010. When you're looking at flock cameras, in addition to all the other cameras that we have in the United States, what you have to consider, let's say that in Tennessee, that during the disappearance of Sebastian, Everyone was rushing to get neighborhood footage. Everyone was getting footage from where people were employed. But a lot of people did not realize at the same time that individuals and agencies were reaching out to the independent owners of the flock cameras that are along transport lines for individuals that may have left Tennessee, or may have gone on vacation, or who have moved. No matter where you go in life, when you're looking at flock cameras within the communities, it's normal. And when you're doing a investigation concerning murdered or missing individuals, those type of cameras are very important, because unlike Tennessee, I live in a border state. Although Tennessee is a border state along Kentucky, Virginia, uh, Arkansas, Georgia. I'm talking about international border states. Okay? When you're looking at camera usage along international lines, you learn a lot about cameras, and you learn a lot about camera footage with drones. So, this past week, I was looking at some of the footage that they have on various cases online on YouTube, and no one, and even if you could get them, many people can't get the footage because it's very hard to get. When you're looking at the footage of what is on different types of digital video cameras, you have to do a comparison and contrast of the data that you're really looking for. If you're going to follow someone or have their directive transportation logs, let's say from Tennessee to California, you're going to know every area, every stop, and everyone in that vehicle if you can get the right camera footage. Or if you were noticing someone going from, let's say, from Tennessee to Alaska. Even on the digital footage going around airports or large metropolitan areas, the flock cameras are the way to go. And then you take the analysis from that type of camera, even at the international borders, and you compare it to local community neighborhood cameras and local PD cameras. And then if you choose to, you can get like the Texas Roadhouse or Simon Mall's videos at different locations. Simon is the company that owns most malls in the United States, in case you didn't know that. And you always do, when you're looking at cameras like that and you're doing comparison contrast, you are looking for direct footage of your suspects or the individuals that you're looking at, and the individuals that may be involved in whatever case you're working on. And if a local PD, let's say Sumner County Sheriff's Department, if they have utilized flock camera across the United States, or in high residential areas, or in high interest areas where they may deem necessary, even the FBI or the TBI, where someone could be there, they can do that comparison and contrast on any individuals. It's just like when you go in anywhere to buy a pack of cigarettes and you hand them over your ID. They turn it over backwards. It has all your information on it. In some of those areas, well, that digital information comes up to a national database or state database. It's usually national because when you travel and you give your driver's license or ID card, it goes back to the main database to make sure you're old enough to buy beer or cigarettes. So when you're looking at all these international cameras that are run by the government and by independent agencies, and you're looking for a particular individual's facial recognition internationally, they have that when you travel or when you're coming into seaport overseas. Let's say, for instance, Spain, Madrid, or Portugal. When you're traveling over there, they have facial recognition, no matter if you're a United States citizen or not, or if you have dual citizenship or whatever. So that's what we have to understand, that you're not just looking at regular doorbell cameras or restaurant cameras, that law enforcement is utilizing every type of digital camera footage at their fingertips. And any type of digital data, background information that they can get concerning digital game board players, it's a fingerprint. It's like a footprint. It's not just your IPS address. Some of these digital platforms you could set up for your own security with a different VPN number, or you could set up recognition, double protection recognition with your facial or your fingerprint index for security. So when you're considering that someone worked for a camera security company, that's really not as important as the additional camera footage that may be available, not to the public, but to the federal and state and local law enforcement. Now, do I believe that law enforcement has waited 2.5 years to find footage for that is available on individuals who may have been traveling or that may be in a particular database? No, I don't. I think that law enforcement was well aware 2.5 years ago of the variation of footage that is available. And I also know that law enforcement is well aware of the double standards that are utilized for the protection of platform datas that every American uses. And when you're seeking information like that and you have to get a search warrant, I mean, the public's not going to have access to that either, because you're going towards the search warrant is going to go towards whatever company has that digital video footage or the digital footage data. So all of us can come out here and speculate as much as we want with various video footage, and everyone can have their own narrative. But when you're talking on a live within the last 3 or 4 days about law enforcement lack of preservation for video footage concerning anyone who's involved in any case. You have to understand that many Americans are not aware of the different types of public footage that is available. And before you get out here and accuse law enforcement of just not doing anything, you should pay particular attention to the various types of footage that really is available in the United States in comparison to other countries. Because the United States is slow. And they're not like Europe. But they're getting there. And whether we like it or not, the usage of cameras, the usage of data video footage saves lives. So I would be very careful when I put out a narrative that there is not a data system in the United States for the usage of law enforcement, whether it's the local PD, the state investigation teams, or the FBI, or DOJ, or CIA, or whatever, Border Patrol. I would be very careful when I get on a live and I state as a regular American that law enforcement cannot utilize all footage to one complete database. I would also further get an understanding that our military has a wonderful background concerning the beginnings of the flock camera, the flock digital usage, far beyond our government and police agencies using or utilizing it. When you have this consideration with digital cameras or footage, you also must take in consideration that drone usage, okay? Drone usage is associated with and utilized by police officers. For instance, when I was on my trip traveling to the East Coast, I went to a fair. A local sheriff's department was covering that fair. Their drones were collecting all the data of anyone who entered or exited that fair. And when they made their mid-shift routine change, their shift change, a standalone drone did the footage until the other two drones for each shift were shifted out or exchanged. When you're looking at all the possibilities of all the footage that is out there, you have to understand one thing, okay? Understand that no matter what type of footage you're using, no matter what you think you do with your SIMS card, if you try to get rid of it, it all goes back to any type of data system. But we really must be careful when we speak about local and international web footage in communities. and blaming law enforcement for not utilizing every type of digital data information system that they have. Because I assure you that law enforcement agencies have access to interstate footage from flock cameras, drone cameras. It's everywhere. And even if a private organization is controlling that footage, a, a particular police department or agency is not going to come out and tell the public, well, we had to get a search warrant. They don't have to do that. It's none of our business. It is for the protection of a particular victim. It is also utilized a lot, if you're familiar with this, in the sex trafficking that we have along the borders of our country and the borders of each state. So, I just wanted to give you a little understanding. It's okay for that footage to be out there. It's okay for the utilization of flock cameras, the infrared cameras that you see sometimes when you're traveling, the drone mobility cameras, or just the regular plain cameras that we just take every day. Just, well, someone's up there in the plane. And I'm not talking about a large 747. I'm talking about, a plane about the size of a prop plane or whatever. And you could be traveling along Interstate 10 and you'll see them a lot. You hear people bitch about when you're coming across 10 that the Border Patrol has little station areas where they check everything in everyone's vehicles if they choose to. They've had that for many years. And that also is for the smuggling and trafficking of human beings. So, before we get out there and just give our strongest opinions about video footage, perhaps you should utilize your resources and gain more knowledge from individuals that have worked or that are working in the field of law enforcement. And the main difference between us and law enforcement is some of the private investigators, some PIs are lawyers, and they're prior law enforcement, and they have been there since the beginning, and they understand the utilization of the new technology, and especially if they were prior military, besides being prior law enforcement, and now they're a PI, or they become a lawyer and a PI. So they have a lot of knowledge in that background. But I assure you of one thing: no matter what you believe about digital camera footage, it can only be lost by a human instruction. Or if there was a catastrophe like a war, you're in a boating accident with water or something like that. And sometimes the footage can be saved. So we should pay particular consideration when we're talking about digital analysis of any camera footage, any still life footage, any digital analysis of any type of equipment. Call and talk to the manufacturer. Ask them what the capacities are, or um, research it yourself online. And believe it or not, when you're talking about digital analysis, if you go to certain stores, and these are specialized stores, and let's say you have a new type of a camera, or you have a new type of video feed, feed camera that specialize just in auditory, not just visual equipment. Believe it or not, a lot of people have to live every day. They have to feed their families or whatever. And a lot of people that work in these specialty shops or specialty companies that sell digital equipment, believe it or not, they are specialists. They specialize in different areas, video cameras and video listening equipment. And they are there working at these little jobs because they have to survive. But if you strike up a conversation, you'd be surprised at how many specialized individuals there are out here working in the field. And the reason why they're working in those fields is because it's part of their forte, of their specialty. So before you come out here and you haven't really investigated what is available, please understand that you can utilize the systems within your own community and from state to state to get more information. Because it's really bad if you just come out here and you tell someone, well, the police did this or that. And what you're doing is you're providing a false narrative to your subscribers and your followers. Well, we're just going to go on this writing campaign, or we're just going to create a hatred. And if you didn't do your background and search every avenue in providing information. Once again, folks, same old narrative here. It's very important that you have a tracking device for your own personal safety. It's very important that you take a safety course within your own community. Often they are free through your community colleges, through your state universities. They are run through your continuing education departments. Your nonprofit organizations for domestic violence, they offer a lot of good courses. The USCCA and 511 stores sponsor a variety of safety courses. Now, are you going to learn anything new? You might. But the main thing is you're going to have a continuum mindset of your own personal safety and your children's safety, or whoever may be in your household. Do not become so compliant within your own life that you live in a society where it's safe, because that is not true. Anything can happen to anyone at any time. So take those extra steps and protect yourselves and those that you love. Furthermore, always, always consider before you answer anything whether it's for your own benefit to remain silent. And personally, know your basic legal foundation of rights. Question everything, and if you have no answers, continue looking on the path of knowledge until you find and utilize all possible avenues to create and find that answer that you seek. Be kind to yourself and others. And if you choose to post a flyer for an individual that you support, then do so. Stay true to your own values and understand that no one in life is successful by themselves. Success is based upon the cooperation of everyone involved in your life. Always say thank you. And if you state that you're doing something for the benefit of everyone, make sure that you live by that oath. You all have a good day. I will tell you one program that they do have nationally where you can learn, just get the basics of your local PD. It's called Ride Share. It's usually a 9 to 12 week program. And of course, you're not going to be out there with a gun, or you're not going to be able to get out of the patrol car when there's a emergency. But if you participate in that program, there's a lot that you can learn about the ins and outs of your local law enforcement's protocol into emergencies, answering local emergencies, or how to deal with even little uh, items that our local law enforcement deals with. Even your local EMS can provide you with a ride along share. A lot of them have programs. But please utilize the knowledge based information that each community has or each state has. And then once you acquire that knowledge, then go beyond that and gain your knowledge from courses or volunteer programs or on the job training programs. You all have a good day. Bye bye.